Today on my channel, Planner Friends, I am going to go delve into what it's been like using this little budgeting planner, collecting receipts for one entire month, and it has been revelatory to say the least. See these? This is part of this. So I'll explain it all, and hopefully we can help each other and I can inspire you and you can offer me some advice. So stay tuned. Hi planner friends, and welcome to my channel. I am One Crafty Dolo. I'm so happy you're here with me today. If you're new, you're welcome to subscribe and tap the notification bell and you'll be notified. I upload 3 times a week. Let's get to it. So today is all about budgeting, as I said. This is my Filofax Finsbury, this gorgeousness is my Filofax Finsbury that I picked up used on Mercari, and I decided to create a budget planner. Okay, so now I'm 1 month in, and really what I want to do here is just talk about what I've done, how I've done it, and what I have learned, which is a ton. So why don't we just kind of get to it, and I may go on camera for a little bit because I only have so much to show you here, but let's just open her up. First off, I do like decorating my planners and I like being creative. So I kept that up even though this has certainly a practical purpose, right? So I just put this in here. This was from actually Carpe Diem. I never did. I was going to put something else up here. I never did, but I just put a little decorative card there. I thought that was cute. I haven't done anything with this. This is kind of, I keep along for receipts on the go if I have this with me. I'm going to get to the inserts in a minute. So let's go up here and let me just talk about how I set this up. So I used a label maker, and I basically, this is not household expenses such as electric, heating, house payments, anything like that. This is what I've been spending on and where I knew I needed some work. So week 1 food, week 2 food, week 3 food, week 4 food, takeout, eating out, which for me is more like a restaurant type of thing, gasoline, oil, treating myself. And originally I had put a sticker on there with my son's name on it in case I gave him money, but truthfully I don't give him money once in a great while, and so that I changed to miscellaneous because I wanted to put something else in there. I basically don't use these sticky notes, truthfully. I just keep them in here kind of as protectors. And yeah, so the question is, what have I learned? And now that I'm a month in, and what I've done, I know a lot of people for a budgeting planner, they do cash envelopes. Before I did that, I wanted to see where my weak spots were. Before I even think about how much I'm saving, which I do save, but I wanted to see where else I could tighten. And I knew that unless I really did a deep analysis of what I'm doing, there is no tightening to be had, right? So let's talk about collecting receipts, which is amazingly problematic, turns out. Okay, so here I am on camera because I don't really want to go through every receipt to show you, but I have a list of discussion questions, and I finally have a haircut. So many times I'm on camera and I'm like, my hair, I need a haircut. So I got a haircut. Okay, so let's talk about collecting receipts. Guess what? Nobody collects receipts, and there's so much that you get with just that process. We're all digital, right? We transfer money, we don't use cash a lot of times, we use our cards, we swipe, we have apps. And so the idea of a non-digital receipt to put in this planner, okay, so it confuses people. When you say to somebody, I need a receipt, and they're like, oh yeah, what? Like, no, I need a receipt. And what happens then, and I don't know if this is gendered, I don't know if it's my personality, then you feel like you have to explain without going into depth. So what I say is, I track every penny. I'm tracking all my expenses. And then that elicits other responses. We have so much stuff about money, peeps. we have stuff about money and it's not good. So, for example, some people are like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, I should do that. Some people are like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to know what I'm spending, which I've been both of those people. So I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing them, but it's just, I was shocked at the reaction I got from the simple act of asking for a receipt. Now, so you get through that part of it. Then there's the times where I would get gasoline. Oh, the receipt, the printer isn't working, and the clerk's like, ah. Okay, so there are times where you just can't get a receipt. So let's start there. So that becomes an issue. And what I would do is I would use, since I was on the go, if I didn't have time to write it down in my planner that I carry, in my phone on my notes. So my notes became filled with gobbledygook of, 38.75 gasoline and the date. Like, I just tried to get a hold of it that way. Okay. So there's the collecting of the receipts. They don't always print, and there's people reactions, no paper. Then there's the times, and it's increasingly less, but there have been times where I forget. And I'm not talking about big purchases. I forget, maybe, okay, I run in and grab a cup of tea from somewhere. Usually it was on the way to work. I would grab a cup of tea. More often than not at Starbucks, because I would go to D&D or somewhere else and I just wanted a bloody cup of hot tea, which I'll get back to. So sometimes I forgot. So between people's reactions on the receipts, right? Between not being able to get a receipt for various reasons, no paper, whatever. And then this whole idea of me forgetting. So that was a bigger quagmire than I could have ever anticipated. And it really, I like when my thinking is broadened and challenged, and I learn things. I love learning. That's just my brain. I love teaching, but I love learning. So I guess they're kind of symbiotic. So it really got me thinking about how we, and I'm using the we collectively, which maybe is wrong, but how we think about and deal with money. I don't know if this is gendered. I don't know. Here's my little cat. Okay, so what was working in this? What worked for me a month into this? And I can tell you right now, most of it worked for me. Boy, was this a revelation and a half. So first off, as I said earlier, I didn't want to do the cash envelopes because I wanted to see where I could tighten. And I follow somebody called The Budget Mom, right, on Instagram. And she recently had a post, and I thought it was interesting. Not that long ago, she had this post, and I screenshot it because I wanted to remind myself. And she said, I used to spend $1,000 a month on groceries. Now, I don't know what her family size is. Then I spent $800. Then I spent $500 with maybe 4 times a year bulk runs to Costco. And it got me thinking, like, wow, okay. And truthfully, where I learned where I'm doing well. As far as my treating myself, I used to spend a lot more on clothes and shoes and this. I'm not. I'm rewearing and going to a thrift store to look. I've yet to buy any clothes there. I've really clamped, and I've simultaneously not buying new stuff, and I cleared out a lot of older stuff. I bought a dress for a special event in March. Okay, I did that. But that was pretty much it. Other than, no, I didn't even buy any new socks this year, anything. I mean, at some point, yeah, I'll have to replenish my socks because I'm hard on socks. But I really have cut back in my cat trees. I've cut back in so many ways. So that's a definite plus in the plus column. As far as, I'm not buying clothes, I'm parsing down and so forth. So, and even my craft stuff, which I'm in the craft room. I'm very frugal, and I sell things and then use that money to buy things. I mean, I just went to Hobby Lobby last week for another video, or this week, whenever I went, and I just picked up a few things, but I was really, really careful. I wanted to make sure I wasn't spending much, and yeah, so I have gotten better, but my weak area, hands down, is food. I am spending too much on groceries, and now I know grocery prices are ridiculous, and that's another quagmire or another ball of wax we don't want to get into. But I'm spending too much on food, on groceries. Not too much eating out. I'm not a big eater-outer, although for the past month there were a few days where I did get like a bagel to go with my tea at Dunkin', and so that I could easily cut down and cut out, and even the tea thing, and save it. I mean, a once a week treat at a Starbucks would be worth more than, you know, not coffee, I don't drink coffee, a tea here, a tea there. So then I started to look at because produce was going bad. I'm buying too much produce. So that got me thinking to myself, why? Why am I overspending on stuff and not utilizing it? Because I think I do plan meals, and I'm pretty careful about how I use things. So for example, okay, cherry tomatoes. I like cherry tomatoes. So maybe I'll use them on salads, and then maybe I'll use the rest in like a egg dish, a quiche or frittata or something like that. Or maybe I'll package a bunch to take to work with hummus and some crackers for a snack or for lunch. I mean, I thought I could be better. That's what I learned. And sometimes I think I'm aware of what I have. So there's the eggplant that I thought I had used the eggplant and I needed eggplant, and it turns out I had too much eggplant. And then one of the eggplants went bad. So waste. But it made me think, and like I said, I like thinking deeply about things. That's who I am. And this weakness, where does it come from, right? And I thought I was good and not. Well, I figured it out. For a few years, okay, so I lived in the urban Northeast, and then we moved out west, rural west, 100 miles from Starbucks, west, okay, and it was hard and awful, and I'm not going to say where because we'll leave that there, but the roads were closed regularly due to weather, and by roads, I mean interstates, major federal interstates. There was one year that the interstate was closed, I'm not kidding you, it was in the newspapers, 55 times between October 1st and March 1st. 55 times. Trucks couldn't get through. As it was, you might imagine, being that far from what I would call the Starbucks civilization barometer, being that far, you would think, oh, okay, local farms, no local farms. The climate was such that farms were not successful. So the produce was terrible, okay? We used to go to the closest major city that was 4 hours away I would stock up on produce. Because if I bought produce there locally, it didn't last long. It went bad quickly because it had been sitting in a truck for God knows how long. So I started to think about that because the bulk of my life, I'm a New Jersey person. I'm from New Jersey. I lived in New Jersey. I speak like I'm from New Jersey, and I'm good with that, right? I'm good. But those few years really, oh my gosh, there were benefits, and I try to focus on the benefits, but oh boy, was that rough. And so I find myself in more of an area where I can, and I do have access to farms and to fresh things and to all kinds of good food. And I guess I just went a little amok and I was spending too much money. Isn't that crazy? But if I hadn't been tracking my receipts in this, I don't know that I would have realized it, okay? Let me just see what else. Yeah, so this has been a revelation. And now going forward, I want to split, because the truth is I have been getting things like paper towels or TP. I will get that at the supermarket. No. Bad move. I'm overpaying because it's convenient, because I'm too enamored with the fresh red bell peppers and zucchini to worry what I'm spending on toilet paper, which I know sounds ridiculous, but at least I understand the psychology behind what's been going on. There's discount supermarkets around. So I'm going to revise this entirely, okay? And I will keep you abreast of this journey, but let's talk about money, and let's talk about saving and versus spending. Sorry, friends, I got interrupted, and it doesn't matter. Anyway, long story short is I am going to really track things. I encourage you, use my Linktree link and find me on Pinterest, because on Pinterest, I am going to be sharing some ideas of what I'm doing, how I'm changing things, and I'm giving myself till January to really put these systems in order. Just to let you know, I always looked at cookbooks, used cookbooks, library cookbooks. So I just took these two out of the library, and I follow her on Instagram. I love her meals. I'm not plant-based. I do eat meat and I do eat dairy, but I do make increasingly more plant-based items, particularly some of her pastas and so forth. And her breakfast puddings are really good. So I'm going to play with these to really hone in on what I'm doing, what I'm spending, what I'm not going to waste anymore. And I really appreciate you being here, and I'm glad you're going to join me for this journey. Let's do this together, and let's tighten the reins. And again, find me on Pinterest. I'll probably put some of this, I have recipe boards galore, but some of the other cost-saving measures I'm going to probably put under what I would call homesteading life. So stay tuned, friends, and thank you for spending time with me, and let's talk about money and saving and not spending. Have a great day, planner friends. Thank you. Bye.